So it's like,
What is your main iPad? Is it the Pro? Is it the Air? Something else? What
it's
do
the
you use?
Pro 12.9. I've been using that since January of last year. Used all three models, the 2018, 2020, and now the 2021 model.
So right now you're using the 2020. You're using the 2021 12.9 inch.
Yeah, yeah. Right now I'm using the M1 equipped model for just,
Nice,
typical tasks and stuff like that.
nice. Do you think you'll return that and go back to an older model, or do you think you'll stay with that one?
Well, I think I'll stick with it just because my YouTube channel is very much centered around iPad Pro. But if it wasn't, I would have stuck with the 2020 model for sure
Nice.
after kind of what we saw from WWDC.
Yeah, same thing. I would have stuck with my 2018 if it wasn't for WWDC.
Yeah.
Or I mean, if it wasn't for the channel,
Right.
even
Yeah,
though
exactly. Right.
my
Yeah.
channel
It
isn't
was
that
like,
big yet, but having the M1, I think will be very helpful.
yeah, I would say so. Even though there isn't a lot of first party optimization, they are saying, or developers are sort of stepping up to the plate to take advantage of the hardware.
Hmm.
But that's kind of like, all right, we gotta wait. So,
Yeah.
how you know how it is. I'm sure you maybe watched my video where I
Hmm.
wasn't super happy.
Yep, I did. I understand that for sure. So, what do you mainly use your iPad for?
I mainly use it for productivity oriented stuff like good notes and web surfing. I don't do a lot of creative stuff on there as of yet because I do use my MacBook Pro, like I'm using right now for most of my business and, like Final Cut editing, Photoshop. So it just works better on there. But obviously, I'd like to use it more because it's a very versatile and fun platform to take, to use the touchscreen, the Apple Pencil. But as
Mhm.
of right now, most of my work works better on a Mac.
That makes sense. So, the whole goal of this thing is
Yeah.
I posted a video last night called "Why Can't a Laptop Be More Like a Smartphone?" Question that
Yeah.
Samsung asked in their Galaxy Unpacked event.
Yeah.
And I think the iPad Pro is the perfect middle ground. I'm not very experienced in video editing and stuff, but I've been editing video on LumaFusion for a good bit, maybe a few
Yeah.
months now. And I'm starting to get paid for doing that with my dad's companies
Right.
is doing that and stuff. And I'm able to use my iPad Pro for everything.
Yeah.
I haven't touched but I also see opposite sides of the spectrum. Like I talked to Fernando Silva the other day, and
Yeah.
he uses his iPad Pro for everything YouTube. No
Yeah.
MacBook, no anything.
Yeah.
And then you you use your MacBook for everything, but you don't use your iPad for everything.
Yeah.
And then
That's accurate. Yeah.
I know Christopher Lawley, I saw your interview with him. He
Yeah.
uses his iPad for everything. And then
Everything.
it's just there's two sides of the spectrum. I haven't seen anything
Yeah.
in the middle.
Yeah. It's yeah, you're either more of a Mac person or a iPad person. Honestly, I think it revolves around pro apps, like or the lack thereof in iPad OS right now. I'm sure there are like iPad OS exclusives like Procreate and whatever. So if your workflow works around those apps, then you just sort of make do with the operating system. But yeah, it's like either on Final Cut or Premiere, or you're just using some other program on your Mac that's not compatible yet with the iPad, or again, you have an app that's just exclusive for iPad, like
Mhm.
LumaFusion, for example. So yeah, like once a majority of your work is sort of isolated there or sort of works well there, you just sort of kind of, I don't know, just adapt, right? But yeah, I do agree though. There's no real middle ground. It's either your iPad's more of an accessory, like in my case, and of course I try to, use it in as many ways as possible. But then there are people who make it their one and only device, like you, like Christopher, and like Fernando,
Mhm.
which is really interesting. And that's why I had talked to Christopher because, as a Mac user, I was more upset because I want an iPad to be more like a Mac, but not quite a Mac. And he's like, well, it's plenty more capable than you make it out to be, but with your workflow and with other people's
Yeah,
workflow, it just doesn't work, and that's the sort of state, the sort of situation that I'm in right now. I don't really know what to do with it because it does exactly what my 2020 did. Maybe a
yeah,
little better, but I mean, it's good, but at the same time, I mean,
yeah.
I guess I'll continue to elaborate because not everybody watched my 37-minute long video with Christopher, but yeah, like, I expected more, but I'm just one guy with, one usage case or
Yeah, I get
particular
that.
set of needs.
So would you say it's
Sorry.
a comfort thing like if I gave you like you're used to Final Cut, you're used to using your Mac. If I gave you an
Yeah.
iPad with LumaFusion equipped on it and stuff and you've done this before, like you edited an entire video on LumaFusion and stuff,
Yeah.
would it be, and like you were forced to for a week or for a month use the iPad Pro only, then you have to kind of just push your Mac aside and not touch it. Could you do that, or do you think it's more of a comfort zone thing?
It's both a comfort zone thing and also capability thing. One, I just am used to, like Final Cut, in terms of the keyboard shortcuts, in terms of my workflow, in terms of how Finder and file management works. I also actually, now I think about it, I actually need Final Cut because as of right now, and I think this might be a feature in the future with LumaFusion, I work off of an external SSD. I do not buy maxed out Macs because I think it's just a waste of money in terms of like what you're getting bang for your buck
Yeah,
wise. So I get
totally.
like a 2 terabyte SSD from, Samsung, like a T5 or a T7, and then I work off that. And then I can plug it into any other Mac that has Final Cut, which, is really nice. So until LumaFusion can do that, that's the biggest sort of hurdle that
Mm-hmm.
I would have to get over or not get over in this case. And then it's a comfort thing. I would say I think that I'm much more quick on my feet with Final Cut Pro. I've been using it for the past like 5, 6 years, so I know exactly how it works, and I can really just sort of. It's like at this point, it's sort of like writing with a pen. Like I know exactly how to accomplish what I want with LumaFusion. It's similar. I know that the timeline is kind of magnetic, and it's similar in ways, but it's also I would say not as fully fledged as Final Cut is and as like Premiere is, for example, because I was talking to Christopher about this. There's no competition, and that's just the only app for iPad that's decent at video
Mm-hmm.
editing besides iMovie. So there's no real incentive for that company to really refine it to the point where it's I think like comparable or competitive with LumaFusion or with Final Cut and Premiere. And although it's great, I know you use it and you can really make some great stuff with it. I mean, Christopher makes amazing videos, color corrects and all that stuff, multiple angles. But as of right now, yeah, I would say maybe it's like a 50% comfort thing, a 50% capability thing, where I kind of have to rely on my Mac, but also I would also prefer to as well.
Yeah, makes sense. So it would take you longer to relearn
Oh yeah,
LumaFusion.
oh
You
yeah,
just went to Final Cut and did something that you knew what you're doing.
exactly,
Um,
and yeah,
like so I shoot all my videos with my phone as
yeah,
the name of my video, yes, or name of my
yep,
channel. And I just airdrop everything to my iCloud and then save it. I have the 2 terabytes of iCloud storage, which probably it's cheaper in the short run, but probably more expensive in the long run. And it works just fine for me. I can, transfer all my videos to LumaFusion from my phone and do all of that, and it works just fine. Granted, I've never used Final Cut,
yeah,
but seeing the price difference, Final Cut's like $300 and LumaFusion is $30.
30, yeah,
So, do you think, based on the price difference,
yeah.
is there something that I'm missing, like from a person who's used Final Cut a good bit? Is there something that I'm missing, like to justify that price difference? If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've used both. I mean, obviously, I don't use LumaFusion every day. It's not my main thing, so like I don't know everything about it. But yeah, I do think at this point, Final Cut Pro is a real professional application that like and I'm not gonna be a person like, oh, the industry likes it, so it's valid. No, like in terms of color correction, histograms, like multicam, a bunch of other effects, just the overall UI, and of course just its integration with Finder and Mac OS. Yeah, I think that you are paying a lot more up front, but I mean, considering that video gigs and YouTube can make you a decent chunk of change. Not that I'm like making racks here, crazy money, but you know what I mean. Like it's worth it. I mean, from what I've made using that application, it's 100% worth it. But yeah, no, I think you are getting more as of right now because Final Cut has to once again compete with Premiere and DaVinci and Sony Vegas and all these other professional applications for the Mac and PC. So right now, I would say so, but in the future, we might see LumaFusion and other applications, sort of matching the energy of these desktop apps right now that we see.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I do think that, yeah, even though it's 10 times more, you are getting more out of it. It is a better application overall, more refined.
That makes sense. So I like Christopher Lawley, obviously, he can use his iPad for everything. I'm just using him as an example because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
seems to be fairly successful on YouTube, and he
Oh
uses
yeah.
LumaFusion for everything.
Yeah.
So he can make fairly good income from that
Yeah.
using LumaFusion
Yeah.
versus Final Cut. And I know Final
Yeah.
Cut or LumaFusion will get an update soon with
Yep.
multicam support and stuff. I'm not sure if it's going to be you have to pay for that or it's going to be free with the one-time purchase of
I
the
hope it
software
is.
itself.
Yeah.
We'll see. So it is possible to use LumaFusion and the iPad Pro for things, but
Oh
there
yeah.
are certain capabilities that are missing.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I have a whole list, because again, I don't use LumaFusion enough, but
Mm-hmm.
just the overall just look and feel, I would say, and I'm sure I'm way, 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 way biased, right? Like, take everything that I'm saying about Final Cut versus LumaFusion with a grain of salt. But I've used LumaFusion enough to know that, there's a difference right now. It's just a matter of, maturity, if you will. Like Final Cut Pro has been around for the past like 10 years. LumaFusion past like what, like three? So they still have a long way to go in terms of development and refinement, and
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. I'm happy to see it, like, and eventually I would love to use LumaFusion or Final Cut or any sort of, application that sort of emulates Final Cut for my iPad. But yeah, yeah. But I mean, Christopher makes a living. He makes bomb videos with LumaFusion. It's not that you can't. It's just, I would say, if it came down to choosing between the two and you were going to be a video producer of some sort, whether you're doing freelance or YouTube, I think more people would choose Final Cut right now, at least over
Yeah,
over a LumaFusion.
I get that. I something Fernando and I were talking about is a big thing for him is on that he uses his MacBook for work because
Yeah,
he needs to have multiple windows. He needs like 8 windows of PowerPoint up, and iPad can't
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
And so, just like you, he's missing just a couple of capabilities for using his iPad for everything.
yeah,
But he uses iPad for everything when it comes to YouTube.
yeah,
So I think iPad OS is limiting. This is something I said in that interview. iPad OS is limiting, but based on my workflow, it doesn't limit me
yeah.
because it doesn't. It's a really empowering statement, I guess. iPad OS is limiting, but it doesn't limit me. Because I do everything on my phone. I AirDrop it to my iPad.
Yeah,
I do, I guess, very simple editing
yeah,
from my iPad on LumaFusion, and from LumaFusion directly upload it to YouTube. Make
yeah,
thumbnails and stuff on the iPad. Use the
yeah,
pencil, which you can't do on a Mac. You can't use the pencil and stuff. It all brings it into one device. Plus, I had 2017 Mac before this, before I started the channel, and it was
yeah.
just crap, MacBook Air. And
Okay,
so
yeah,
I already had
yeah,
this. I already had this iPad Pro, and I couldn't afford to buy another device. So
yeah.
I made do, and it's working fairly well.
Oh, for sure, it should. Yeah, yeah,
So
it
for
definitely should.
so for you to switch, for that to be your main device, for you to throw your MacBook away and use your iPad, what would have
Yeah.
to come iPad OS, software or hardware, for you to switch
Um,
to that?
Well, I mean, I will say this, like in the future, at least for my workflow right now, I guess I can answer that question. But in the future, like obviously, I plan on doing, more video production type stuff. So I'm gonna have, the most powerful, chip Mac, whatever you're gonna have. But with regard to YouTube, I mean, I've made do with an M1 chip, 16 gigs of RAM in the MacBook Pro. That's a step down, I think, from an iMac with a Core i9 and Vega 48 graphics, like all that beefy stuff. And that sounds like off topic, but it's kind of getting at, the iPad, which has the same specs as this computer, which I've made do with. So yeah, it would have to be software. That's sort of why I said in my reviews, like I was like, we're waiting to see what Apple comes out with, and they just sort of said, all right, well, it's up to the developers. And everyone's like, I mean, not everyone, but some of us who, got these specked out iPads are like, what do we do with them now? It doesn't make any sense,
Yeah.
so software, I would say for sure is what I'm waiting for.
So it has everything you want or would need hardware wise.
I would say so. I mean, sure, it's limited as an iPad. I'm sure there's some thermal limitations. There's no fan in here, but I mean, for what I would want to do with it, which is just maybe more basic video editing on the go, on the couch, whatever. Yeah, it's perfectly. I think the iPad Pro 2020 and 2018 models were powerful enough for that. It was just the software that was
Mhm.
limiting. But with that
Yeah,
hardware, it was more understandable. With this hardware, it's like, like, huh?
yeah, and it does confuse me. Rene Ritchie kind of described it a little bit in one of his videos, but the new iPad Pro tops at 16 gigs of RAM, and then the
Yeah.
others are 8 gigs of RAM, which 8 gigs of RAM is what I have.
Yeah.
That's double what I had in my last iPad.
It's plenty,
But
I would say, for a lot of people. Yeah.
yeah,
Especially for you with
it's
what you're doing with iPhone footage and just simple editing, more than enough. Actually, this is a good point to bring up because I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, don't buy the M1 iPad Pro. It's a horrible device. Of course it's not. But as of right now, it would make more sense to buy a lower spec model because I don't really know as of right now what people are going to be doing with 16 gigs of RAM,
yeah,
you know?
apps are limited to only 5 gigs of RAM.
5 gig, yeah. 5 gig, five can't. I'm having a stroke. 5 gig app limit, yeah. So it's like how much you can actually use for multitasking. I mean, like, or just running apps in the background. I've seen older iPad Pros with 4 gigs of RAM do just fine with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's just like a lot of hardware here, a lot of horsepower for very little first party optimization or at least utilization, I guess.
I will say I had the 2018 iPad Pro 12.9, and LumaFusion did struggle a little bit. It had 4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, yeah.
It did struggle a little bit. Footage was lagging. Like the
Okay,
audio would play, but then the footage would really lag behind.
gotcha. Yeah.
And there was a lot. I would have to close out LumaFusion, reopen it, and
Yeah.
it struggled. So that was part of the reason of me wanting to switch over to the M1 powered one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this one has 8 gigs of RAM, so double the RAM that I had before, and the M1. And I've had a couple of issues, which is probably just a LumaFusion issue,
Yeah.
but it hasn't been near as much
Yeah.
as it was on the 2018 iPad Pro. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that's an iPad issue or if that's a LumaFusion issue
I
or
think
if
it's
that's
probably
just
both. I think it's both, because like I mean,
yeah,
obviously the implementation of M1 it's still doing the iPad, justice. It's still like running things faster, opening things faster, giving you a better overall experience. It's a way better
mm-hmm.
chip. But yeah, I guess and not to, overly talk about this because I've hit this home many times and I'm going to this Sunday. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing after we end this call. I'm going to start scripting a sort of iPad OS 15 oriented iPad Pro review. But yeah, I think that, like I said, the 8 gig model is kind of the sweet spot right now. If you want a brand new one, new battery, all that, if you want the mini LED display, I like it. I just don't see, that much of a use for it until like we actually start using HDR as a sort of standard for media. But um, yeah, I think it is. I think it was an issue with your iPad. I think that you needed just a little more RAM and a little more GPU and CPU horsepower. But yeah, once again, when it comes to these higher end models, it's like okay, like that's a little too much or like a little. I don't know what you do with it, but yeah, no, I'm happy to hear that in your case, that you're
Yeah,
actually getting something out of the M1 iPad Pro because I guess before I talked to Christopher and people who really use the iPad like you do, I sort of underestimated, how much of a difference that would actually make. So
mm-hmm.
it's not completely unjustified on Apple's part to have put that hardware in there, which is good to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah, it's awesome. So I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If you had to choose one for the rest of your life, would you choose iPad OS or Mac OS? Now I'm
I don't
thinking
know.
iPad OS 15 or Mac OS Monterey. So like the new
Oh, okay.
the
Like
new
if
software.
if the world ended and time froze and I had to just choose one, is that kind of the question? Or just like,
Yep. Once the
okay, well, in that case, yeah, obviously Mac OS Monterey. That's how it's pronounced.
however you pronounce it.
Yeah. But I guess in a more to answer that question in a more realistic perspective, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Maybe one day the Mac will be killed off. Maybe I've no. I mean, like Christopher and I are talking about, or Christopher brought up how they do not plan on Apple doesn't plan on merging iPad OS and Mac OS. I believe that. We'll just see what product survives. We'll see what product is just more. I don't know, future proofed. So at this point, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll be video editing in our brains. I have no idea. You know what I mean? There's like I'm 20, so like I have another hopefully, 60 plus years to live and there's a lot of innovation that can happen with from Apple,
You're
from other companies. So I don't know, but to answer your question, yeah, like Mac right now for sure. If I was stranded on a desert island and I was making, short films by myself to, keep myself sane, yeah, I would use. It's awfully specific. I don't know why I just imagine that, but yeah, long answer to your question there. I'm really good at stretching out
Well, that's okay.
answers.
So you're 20?
I am 20. Yeah, we're gonna turn 21.
Nice. I thought you were older than me. I'm 22.
Oh, really? Dude, I
Yeah.
thought you were. I thought you're 25. Probably the beard does it. I'm sure if we both shaved, we'd look like we're like, like 14 years old.
I started losing this in like sixth grade and then started growing this in sixth grade.
You
So,
look good. It's all good,
man,
man. I'm
man.
probably gonna be bald too. My grandfather is losing his hair, so and that's like on my mom's side. So I'm getting ready to just. So
So,
we'll see.
yeah, then I have my cousin who has just long, luscious hair. He can do a ponytail, and it's
Oh
just
my God.
I'm jealous. I would kill for that kind of
Hey,
hair.
dude, you look good bald, so don't worry about it.
I
You
appreciate
you
it.
you pull it off very well. So I'm worried about myself. I have a fat ass forehead, so we'll see. So
The only advice I can give is just go all out. Don't do the
oh
hair
fuck
on the
no, I'm not gonna.
sides.
I ain't gonna pull a Larry David. I'm not. I'm
Like
Jewish,
that.
but he's you know what I mean, like that guy.
Yeah.
But love
Okay.
Larry David. All right, good. Let's
Oh,
get back on
man,
topic. Yeah, not to derail this. I'm very good at
that's
that.
funny. So I got a couple more questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love iPad OS. I would choose
Yeah.
iPad OS because I like things. Again, I said this in my video. I like things dumbed down for me. I like things
Okay.
as simple as possible.
Right. Right.
And using in the short time I had using my 2017 MacBook Air, which I don't have anymore, I hated the complexity of a Finder of Mac OS in general.
Yeah.
It was whatever was before Big Sur is what I
Yeah.
was using, and I didn't like it. iPad
Okay.
OS is literally just a blown up version of my phone.
Yeah.
Obviously, nowadays with the Pro and stuff, it does more features, but at its core, it's just a blown up version of my phone. And I know my
It's
phone
iOS. Yeah.
like the back of my hand.
Right.
So using my iPad is more familiar than using, and granted, if I probably used a Mac every day, it would make a big difference.
It
But
does. Yeah. Yeah.
it just seems too complex.
Yeah.
And so I love the simplicity of, am I missing something?
No, I think that's true. I mean, I was using iPad OS or just my iPad the other day. Just like I left my Mac at my apartment. I'm at my parents' house right now because I kind of commute both ways. I work out of an apartment and come home sometimes. And I was using my iPad just for work, just for emails and whatever. And yeah, it's simpler, it's more fluid, it's more fun. That's sort of why iPad was so enticing to me when I bought my Pro 2 years ago. So yeah, it's definitely more simple. And you also make a good point, like if you use Mac every day, it wouldn't be because like I for example don't use Windows, and I don't think that I'm not gonna be the person that's like a Mac OS, like supremacist. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like it's always better and it will always be better. I prefer it, but I know people use Windows and they do amazing things with Windows, but I have no idea how. I mean, I know how to use okay. I know how to use Windows. I can go to the
Yeah,
library and check out a book or something. But like in terms of like, yeah, like I know how that feels. I know how it is to not know all the ins and outs of a desktop operating system. But yeah, I mean, I've been using Mac OS or Mac OS 10,
mm-hmm.
forever since I was like 6. You know what I mean? Like my school entered, like my elementary school, like introduced me to it. We were a Mac school, and yeah, I always stuck with it. So I'm a lifelong Mac user. That's my preference. So yeah, no, I don't think you're missing anything in terms of like your logic, but I mean, yeah, there are features that are just better. I mean, file management is better in Finder, for example. You just have more control over external drives and whatnot, just sort of the way
Yeah.
you can manipulate files, all that renaming stuff. It's if you know the keyboard shortcuts, if the menu system, I think right now it's definitely more capable. So it just depends on if you know it. But I mean, to each their own. If you know how to
Yeah.
use iPad OS, like Christopher was telling me things about iPad OS that I had no idea existed, right? So I can't be the complete judge of the capability of iPad OS. I think it's more capable than I make it out to be, but overall, I mean, let's just be real. I mean, the Mac is like a proper computer, and I know Apple's, trying to push that iPad can be a computer, but I personally think that they're trying to, like you said, dumb the iPad down a little bit,
Mhm.
just for the more general consumer, just for people who are going to be buying computers and tablets in the future. So no, I think your logic is definitely sound. It is more simple, and I wish I could use it more. I think it's a really fun operating system, but it's just a
So
matter of, yeah, some features like you said before.
yeah, so it for part of it, it leads back to the comfort thing.
Yeah,
Where Mac OS more, I know iPad OS more,
yeah,
and then same thing again. Part of it is comfort, and the other part of it is capabilities that you
for
need
sure.
that
Right.
your iPad can do.
Yeah,
Okay, last big question. Last question on this topic.
sure. Yeah, go
Cool.
ahead.
Okay, so a commenter on one of my videos said this in my reference in reference to my iPad OS 15 reaction video.
Yeah.
And so what he said, this was very interesting. All we wanted was Mac OS Touch for the iPad Pro, not just an accessory to the MacBook with universal control. Tablets are the future, not laptops. Right now, the M1 iPad Pro is like Superman wearing a kryptonite belt. What do you think of that?
I agree with parts of that, and I don't agree with parts of that. I don't think anybody wants Mac OS Touch. I don't want it. I think it would look horrible. Like Mac OS works because of the trackpad. Like Apple is on top of their game when it comes to cursor and mouse support. That's how you interact with Mac OS. I don't want to go. I don't want to be doing this. Like no, like ew. I think the more accurate, I mean, this is my opinion, but I think a more accurate response or want would be just iPad OS, built around sort of Mac OS features, you know what I mean, or
Mm-hmm.
Mac OS capability. I don't want to, like, I want the iPad OS look and feel and interface to sort of work into pro apps and maybe a better file management system. Like, I want to see what that can look like rather than just port over Mac OS features. Like, no, like
Yeah.
you can buy a MacBook Pro if you want a Mac. And again, they don't plan on merging the two as far as we know officially.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't think anybody want. I mean, I don't think most people want Mac OS Touch. Some people want Mac OS Touch, but
I
he's
feel like
right in
that
saying, "Oh,
would
sorry, go ahead."
no problem. I think that would overly complicate the iPad, which is
Yeah,
what we
it
were just
would. Like
talking.
that's not the point.
It would take away the simplicity of it.
Exactly, and that's what they're selling. They want it to be a device you can just sit down and use your finger with. Like you don't want to be like tapping on tiny little buttons and stuff. Ew, that's what a mouse is good for. But he is right in saying that like iPad OS 15 is a bit limiting. Like I wouldn't go as far to say that it ruined the iPad. Like I love Max Tech, but I don't agree with that video. Like that's just they're trying to get clicks. I mean I get it. It's a rough time to be an Apple content creator, honestly, because just of like I mean, if you think about it, hi, sorry, I'm at home. Um, hold on. Sorry, my sister.
No problem.
Um, yeah, like love their stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's tough being an Apple channel right now because if you think about it, we went 5 months without anything new, and then we got an iPad Pro that we don't really know what to do with, and then we have software that doesn't answer that question, and then there are rules about talking about the iPad OS beta, so it's like like okay, um, you know, so it's a time for sure. But yeah, no, like it's limiting in the fact that there's no first party optimization, there's no first party nod to like this is why we put the M1 in here, even though it can do A through Z on your Mac, it can only do A through G on your iPad, and that's really frustrating. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess it is sort of shackled right now, but their excuse is, oh, well, developers have to, go along with it. But, you know, if we know anything, the first party always has to sort of push for that first, rather than, wait for the third party to do it. I mean, like that was sort of the downfall of like the Microsoft Surface Pro X, for example. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
good product, but like,
Mm.
there wasn't much like I mean, of course, okay, no, I'll walk that back. There was first party optimizations, like there was the whole Microsoft Office suite, all that. but I don't think Microsoft did enough to encourage developers to do that. Meanwhile, Apple, I mean, their whole ecosystem facilitates like the, turning iOS and formerly Mac apps, into the sort of universal app format that we're looking at now. So they're set up better for that. But you would expect if they are that they would be more on top of that. But COVID, other stuff, like they're sort of sure they're working on stuff behind the scenes, or maybe they're not. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, that comment is, I would say, half accurate, half just preference.
I really like the imagery he used. It's like Superman, but wearing a kryptonite belt. He has Superman has all this power, but then there's just one thing that's limiting him.
Yeah,
So
totally
yeah,
agree. It's like I said in my review. It's like putting a 6.2 liter Hemi in a Toyota Prius. Like that's a Hellcat engine. Like, why would you put it in it? I mean, a Toyota Prius is. I mean, I wouldn't drive one, but it's a great car. You go from point A to B. You can. I mean, probably. I don't think you can haul ass, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a good car, but like, does it need that much power right now? No. So I don't know. Yeah, right. So I think that's fun imagery for sure, and
cool.
probably pretty accurate as well.
Nice, awesome. Okay, that is all of the questions I have for
Okay.
the big stuff. So just last question is,
Yeah,
do you have any advice for a new YouTuber like myself?
sure. Let me just take my shoes off. Just ask the question again. Just yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no problem, man. Any advice for a new YouTuber such as myself?
Don't have any major expectations. Do it for fun. Don't do it thinking that you're gonna make a whole bunch of money. I didn't. I mean, I almost gave up because I was trying to make it into my job, and that I guess was the wrong sort of mindset. And this was like way back before, like it was just around the time I was about to buy my iPad Pro. I was like this, I'm like, man, like I gotta get a job. I gotta like and that's a good thing to do, most people go ahead with that, make some money, put some money away, invest, whatever. I don't know. I'm not a financial expert, but I mean, just do it because you like it. Do it as a hobby, do it consistently, but don't expect it to go anywhere because it's a very saturated market right now. I was very fortunate to have sort of slipped in there and sort of made my break. Eventually, if you are, passionate about what you do, you make quality stuff, you might have that moment, and you got to really take advantage of that, basically, just not sleep and just, I don't want to be that person like, yeah, you just got to grind, like, but that's what you have to do. Like, you got to really take advantage of, more impressions and more views if you all of a sudden get that with a particular topic or niche. But at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, though, you should enjoy doing it. And even if you are running your business, like even though this is my full-time job, if you don't enjoy doing it, if you don't, pride yourself in your work, or I guess sort of remember why you did it to begin with. I do this because I love technology, and I also love video production. Then you're going to set yourself up for failure. So, I guess to you as well, just, do it because you love it. Don't do it because
Yeah.
like, oh, you can see a career out of it. I don't even see like in the next 10 years, I don't think I'm going to be doing this. This is more of a temporary thing. But I'm very grateful for it, and I'm very fortunate that it worked out. But yeah, no, just do it because you love to do it. Otherwise, there's no point.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
love it.
a lot of work
So
though. a
yeah,
lot of, lot
it's
of. It's a pain in the ass, but I love it, and I wouldn't want anything to be different. That's for sure.
yeah, I agree. Do you have any suggestions of who else I could talk to about this topic? I've emailed Christopher Lawley, and
Yeah.
then do you have anyone else in mind?
I don't know. I mean, of course he's cool, but maybe Luke Miani might have a good mindset. He's a way more of a Mac guy than I. Well, actually, no, we're both pretty much Mac guys, but he's a Mac guy. Like
Mm-hmm.
doing all the use stuff. Knows the history, all that. Christopher obviously is a great guy to ask. Honestly, I don't watch enough tech YouTube to answer that question. I mean, I know there are other people, maybe Byte Review. That guy's pretty good. Anybody who uses iPad, like if you see an iPad channel, because there are definitely a couple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of all of them, and I'm sure they're all great. But yeah, just I would say yeah, Byte Review, Christopher. Yeah, I guess those are my two that I would recommend because they have the
Makes
most.
sense.
Yeah, because Byte Review uses the iPad Air to use for his teaching stuff, and Christopher uses it for literally everything, which is amazing. So yeah, those are my suggestions.
Cool, man. I appreciate it.
Okay, I like your style, and yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you for reaching out again. It's a pleasure talking to you, and I guess we'll keep in touch, and I will definitely watch this interview back and cringe. Oh, look, the people can see my middle name. That's great. I feel like I'm in Zoom. Oh my God. I mean, I am in Zoom, but like I'm talking like class, like Zoom class, Zoom University.
Yeah,
You're in college. Yeah, yeah, no. You
no,
look older than, oh no?
I'm not in college. I teach guitar lessons on Zoom.
Okay. So you
And
know how it is. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's really hard teaching kids guitar on Zoom.
Yeah,
So
oh
this is
man.
much better.
Yeah, it's much better to have a conversation rather than a whole lesson. Because yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, you do you with, your career and education, but don't do Zoom University. It's horrible. I mean, we hopefully won't do it this year, but I think I'm going back to the campus this year, or later this year, but just yeah, it was
I can
a
imagine.
good yeah. But anyway, all right. Well, listen, Jacob, great talking to you.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Good luck with the channel, and I'll look forward to seeing this all put together.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for your willingness to do this.
Yeah, thank you for the email again. Okay, keep in touch. Bye.
Have a good one.